he said, and what do I think as a person? So I hope you're ready for that. So let's go. So last week was already a really dramatic moment for me to be discussing the country of Afghanistan. Everything was happening all at once. The US Army, after a 20-year occupation, a useless war, which I argued ferociously against multiple times, including last week, they withdrew, which was a good thing, but doing so meant that the entire kind of house of cards, the entire structure of the Afghan government decided to just go, oh we're hopeless now, and just left. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers, with brand new weapons and guns and all the training you could ever ask for, and they just went, all right. Oh, the Taliban are here. Okay, hi. But more has happened now. When Kabul fell, which it did on Sunday, around the time actually when I was doing my last show, as I said, everything was happening all at once, developing the show. There was one little area that the Taliban decided to not go and occupy, and for good reason. It was the Kabul International Airport. Hundreds of thousands of people have been fleeing Afghanistan. A lot of them have been going over the border into the neighboring countries. Particularly Tajikistan has been the place where a lot of them have been running to. But thousands of people ran over to Kabul International Airport to take a plane out. To their credit, in my opinion, the international community, including the United States and the UK, have been organizing round-the-clock airlifts, basically, to get as many people out as possible. A world record, in fact, was broken. One of the big sort of US Army planes, which was meant to take 150 soldiers, something like that, took off with over 800 people in it. And pictures look like they're heart-wrenching, but also there's some kind of awe to it, the fact that so many people just crammed into this one airplane. And then it turned out that that was actually just the adults, that there are actually 100 kids as well. So it was really, well, but also really heartbreaking. There was famously on Monday, there was a video of one of these big airplanes taking off, and there's just a huge crowd of people who were trying to cling onto the plane. Some of them did manage to hold onto the plane as it flew up and up and up and up and up. And it gets kind of cold up there. It's kind of fast. It's impossible to hold on. And I thought it was kind of gross, actually, how a lot of the sort of the news, especially though, places like The Sun, kind of leered at oh, look, here's the video of these people falling to their deaths. Oh, wow, I really needed to see that. But don't worry, among all these thousands of people was the erstwhile old president of Afghanistan. Yes, ashraf, I can't say, the name's hard, sorry. Ashraf Ghani, he was the president of the country, appeared in Tajikistan with several cars, all stuffed full of money. It turned out that he tried to run away with $170 million in cash. I've been actually quite amazed how he's not being allowed to get away with it. There's been sort of a discussion, and I think there's a good chance that it's actually going to sort of be done to actually charge him in a criminal court for, embezzling and running away with all the money and just abandoning his country when he was the goddamn president of it. But incredibly poor show. And I know it sounds like some kind of aristocratic sort of 1920s polo player, like, oh, poor show, poor show, poor show. But like, it really is pathetic. Like, you're the president of a country, right? You're supposed to be like the leader of the armed forces. You're supposed to be like the leader in like a time of crisis. What do? You just leave. Coward, complete coward. And honestly, that's been the feeling I've been getting quite a lot more and more about these sort of army units. Not the soldiers themselves, mind you. There's been every evidence that like a lot of the sort of like the ground soldiers wanted to fight, particularly like the commando regiments. They like there was one place where like all the command emerged on Tuesday. Like the commando regiments, they all kind of like they ran into this, this compound, stocked up to the nines with all the weapons. They're like, yeah, let's do this. Let's take them on. And then the commander was like, oh, actually, you know what? I'm gonna surrender. And the troops were like, really? What? Yeah, and as I go like, what? Oh, the commander's gone missing. Oh, it turns out now he's run away to Tajikistan. He's run off with like a whole bunch of money too. The sad part about all of this is, of course, that there's, how should I put it? There's not enough people who sort of can get away. The estimates at the moment are that there's about 80,000 people in Afghanistan who, in some way, directly worked with the sort of NATO occupation forces, with the Americans. A lot of them sort of roles like, translator, guides, suppliers, logistics. And these people, they helped us. They obviously should be allowed to go. But how many actually have? Really, not all that many. On Wednesday, the only figure I've been seeing that's kind of like hard. That was kind of hard. Was that about 3,000 of these people, had gotten out to safety via like Kabul airport and via like the borders. But I mean, 3,000, as any maths geek could tell you, is not actually 80,000. I know, shocking, right? And there's been all kinds of horror stories coming out of like some of the ones who've not been able to escape. The Taliban have been making like this huge kind of thing about, oh, we're like a different Taliban. Yeah, we're really civilized now, you see. Please don't invade us again. We just want to be, really religious and fundamentalist throughout our whole thing. Yes. And that's why, we do things like commit massacres against the Hazara people, which is like an ethnic Persian kind of group that lives in like the center of the country. Oh, and that's why also we take like Afghan interpreters for the US forces and we cut off their arms before we string them up on lampposts, like actually happened last week to one very unfortunate, collaborator. But I mean, in like a nice way. And so to me, it's like beyond question. Like, yeah, these people should be allowed out. Like they helped our occupation, and no matter how kind of like morally gross and disgusting it was that like Western soldiers were there, we still need to like help out the people who help us. Basic human decency would say that, right? However, it's not all despair. In sort of the center of the country, there's been social media flurry about a resistance which has sprung up, led by Ahmad Massoud, who, for anyone who's like obsessively into studying war zones, will actually ring a bell, because Ahmad Massoud actually was one of the big leaders of the sort of the Mujahideen back in the 80s. And then he also led what they called the Northern Alliance, which was the sort of the anti-Taliban forces before America came in. Well, his son is leading a resistance now in the sort of about 70 kilometers away in the, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, but the Panshir Valley, which is about 70 miles north of Kabul. They've taken over several districts quite quickly, actually. And there were videos of, these kind of resistance people having, celebrations about, hey, we've captured some parts of Baghlan province. Whoop, whoop. It's kind of funny, that like, it's almost like the old gang is getting back together. All the kind of places that used to be the sort of Northern Alliance that were really against the Taliban are sort of the first to rise up and go like, oh, not this again. Let's go. I wish them well. I do. But do I think they're going to have a chance? Who knows? Probably not. But what do you think? Leave a comment below. I always make a point of reading the comments to these live streams. But I hear that there's some other people out there. Yes, I know, what a strange concept. Other people who have their own thoughts and opinions and concepts. Let's have a listen to what they are. And I'll catch you all again very, very soon.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need?